There are few people more important to MMA than the Gracies. The family's dominance of pride and the early UFC tournaments brought Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to a global stage and fundamentally changed perceptions of combat sport. Over the years, however, the Gracies' unwillingness to evolve has seen their standing take a downturn among fans. Today we look at the losses, scandals, and controversies the first family of MMA want you to forget. Welcome to the INC, and these are 5 of the Gracie family's worst moments. No Gracie has faced more pressure than former ADCC champion Cron. Cron is the son of Rickson Gracie, the former Pride and Jiu-Jitsu legend regarded as the family's greatest ever fighter, thanks to his disputed claim of being unbeaten in 400 fights across all competitions. Early on, it appeared Cron would follow in his father's footsteps, building a 4-fight winning streak in Rizin before signing for the UFC, where he claimed a first-round submission over Alex Caceres. After a loss to Cub Swanson at Fight Night Tampa, Gracie took an extended break from the sport to focus on running his jiu-jitsu school, with many believing the 35-year-old had called time on his career. So it came as a shock when Gracie ended a 4-year hiatus to face Charles Jourdain at UFC 288. Gracie had come under fire from family members for his willingness to brawl in his loss to Swanson, with the fighter vowing to right the wrong in a grappling showcase worthy of the family name. What followed was one of the worst performances in UFC history.
When was the last time we saw this, speaking of old school? Butt scooting and just trying to attempt to kick?
Gracie threw just 30 strikes over 15 minutes of action, plodding forward with little urgency and failing nearly every attempt to get the fight to the ground, the Brazilian resorting to scooting on the floor trying to coax Jourdain to the mat. Jourdain maintained his composure to claim a comfortable decision, but the real vitriol came after the fight, with several fans and fighters criticizing Gracie for his dated performance. UFC President Dana White being a vocal bystander in the post-fight press conference.
You know, I like Cron a lot, and he's a good kid. He came in very limited tonight, very limited. You know, it was like coming out of a time capsule in 1995, you know what I mean? Tough way to try to win a fight these days.
Gracie still remains under contract at the time of this recording and is currently building a time machine to find opponents matching his skill set. Jes Gracie is considered one of MMA's greatest ever coaches, but there's a good reason his MMA career is seldom talked about. Much like his siblings, Gracie earned a jiu-jitsu black belt under his uncle Hobson, but is best known among MMA fans for his work with the infamous Scrap Pack, a quartet of Gracie-trained students who became some of Strikeforce's biggest stars of the late 2000s. While Caesar had taken part in his family's Gracie challenges, he'd shown little interest in pursuing a career in MMA. So it came as a shock when the 40-year-old made his pro debut in Strikeforce's first ever MMA card. Gracie's opponent would be former UFC champion Frank Shamrock, who was returning to MMA after a near 3-year absence. In a clever business move, Strikeforce chose to market the event simply as Gracie vs. Shamrock, which would be a bit more like WCW booking a match between David Flair and Horace Hogan. Despite Shamrock's layoff, many felt Gracie's age and limited skill set made the bout a serious mismatch. Those naysayers were quickly proven right.
He wants to get this fight to the ground and utilize his jiu-jitsu.
Gracie was finished by the MMA legend just 20 seconds into the fight, remaining one of the fastest finishes in Strikeforce's history until its demise in 2013. Gracie wisely returned to coaching shortly after, while Shamrock continued the family rivalry with a match against Caesar's cousin Renzo. But more on him later. At 6'4" and 250 pounds, Jes Gracie is one of the biggest family members to compete in MMA. Gracie first entered MMA in 2007, having been hailed as the family's brightest prospect for several years, and appeared to justify the hype by winning his first 3 fights in the opening round. It didn't take long for the UFC to come calling, as Gracie made his company debut against Joey Beltran at UFC 109. Gracie justified his role as a heavy favorite by taking Beltran down and dominating the early stages, only for Beltran to survive the onslaught and eventually return to the feet. Remember when I said Gracie only finished fights in the first round? It soon became clear why.
Hollis seems to be running out of steam a little bit here, Mike.
Gracie's cardio was sapped almost immediately, spending the rest of the round throwing wild, sloppy punches and half-hearted takedown attempts. The 60-second interval did little to change Gracie's fortunes, and after several more failed takedowns, a depleted Gracie was finished midway through the second round. 7 minutes of action was enough for the UFC, who made the rare decision to release Gracie after just one fight in the promotion. Gracie continued competing in MMA until his retirement in 2015, including spells in KSW and one championship, where his career alternated between first-round submissions and doing his best Ric Flair impression. Hal Gracie found himself on the wrong end of one of MMA's most infamous moments. The son of the late Hobson Gracie, Hal made his early name competing for the upstart Battlecade promotion. While his family were known for their patient fighting style, Hal's aggressive and often brutal approach earned him the nickname Pitbull, and saw him build a 5-0 record with 3 wins in the first minute. In 2003, Gracie ended a 5-year hiatus to compete for Pride Fighting Championship, and after a decision win over Doko Mishima, was booked against Takanori Gomi at Pride Bushido 3. Gomi entered the match with a reputation as one of Japanese MMA's biggest prospects, with many believing the fight could determine the face of Pride's emerging lightweight division. Fans and company bosses got their answer a little quicker than expected.
That looked like it hurt Hal.
Alf is done! Alf is done!
Much like cousin Caesar, Hal fell victim to one of the fastest finishes in MMA history, succumbing to a barrage of knees just 6 seconds into the fight. Hal called time on his career shortly after to pursue a career in coaching, while Gomi became Pride's lightweight champion and one of the company's most successful fighters. Hal attracted further controversy a decade later when he was filmed attacking Jiu-Jitsu champion Flavio Almeida during a no-gi event in 2018. After initially fleeing to Brazil to avoid an arrest warrant, Gracie was sentenced to a 6-month prison sentence and a lifetime ban from the IBJJF. This last segment is dedicated to family wildman Renzo. Renzo can stake a claim as the Gracie's most prominent fighter, competing for over 20 years in Pride, the UFC, and one championship, but is just as known for his scandals out of the cage as much as the talent in it. Gracie's first controversy came in 1995 when he faced judo champion Ben Spikers for the World Combat Championship in Charlotte. Gracie would win the fight by first-round submission, but his performance was overshadowed by his refusal to let go of the hold before stamping on the Dutchman's forehead. Gracie claiming the move was retaliation to comments Spikers made about his family pre-fight. Gracie showed poor sportsmanship again in a match with Shungo Oyama. After seeing Oyama stuff nearly all of his takedowns, Gracie expressed his frustration by spitting on his opponent mid-fight, and later suggested his decision loss was due to judges holding that incident against him. Gracie's scandals also followed him out of the cage, being charged with assault for attacking a nightclub bouncer, quoting German war criminal Heinrich Himmler, and hosting a jiu-jitsu seminar on behalf of Chechen warlord Ramzan Kadyrov. Gracie's most recent controversy came in 2022 when he got into an altercation with a passerby in a New York subway due to him having a conversation in Portuguese. The fight quickly went viral on social media, leading Gracie to turn to his YouTube channel to explain his side of the story.
You have to apologize loud. Everybody has to hear that you're apologizing. I'll let you go. You're gonna have to shake my hand and no more problems. Don't give me any more problems, otherwise I'm gonna choke you out and I'm gonna remove all your teeth. So, be smart.
Despite the controversies, Gracie remains a prominent MMA and jiu-jitsu coach, working with the likes of George St. Pierre, Chris Weidman, and Matt Serra over a 2-decade career. If only his subway attack happened a year later, he might have earned himself a contract with the UFC. And now, time for a few dishonorable mentions. 18-year-old Hodger was arrested in 2000 for shooting rubber bullets at 3 transvestites, forcing him to leave Brazil in the process. Hawks and Gracie's drug issues and subsequent passing at the age of 19. Jes Gracie vs. Ken Shamrock 3. Just the whole thing. This is the INC. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a video.